So, Tashidala to everyone, and welcome those who are joining us from the previous class. Welcome back to our class of Tibetan Grammar. The text is Tree of Excellent Speech, and today we're going to begin yet another dependent particle. So, I think that be able to finish the dependent particle, but let's see. And once we're done with the dependent particles, we will have a test or an exam on what we have covered since last October to this to probably April, the dependent particle. And so the schedule were already posted, and we're going to have classes according to the grammar class schedule that was posted before, I think probably 1 or 2 days after the beginning of the break. So I hope everyone enjoyed the break and have returned back with fresh mind and great enthusiasm. So let me first share the file. The file that was sent in the group had a little bit of mistake, so therefore I'm sending them again. Just a very minor mistake. So I'm sharing both the PDF as well as the document file. So those who are using the Windows may be able to view it there, and those some of you who would like to view it in the Microsoft Word can view it there. Okay, so I have sent you the PDF. So we also have a presentation file as well as the PDF file. So I will begin by sharing the presentation. The PDF and the PDF of the presentation will be sent to the group after the class with the recording. So, but the presentation is based on the material that was sent to every one of you, which was in the PDF form. So it's the same. So the only difference is that in the PDF we have the verse of tribute, the verse of tribute, the dedication to the dedication verse. That's the only difference between this and the PDF file. Other than that, there is no difference between the two. Okay, so today we're going to begin with a brand new dependent particle. So currently we are just going through the dependent particles. As we know, the dependent particles. So let me repeat the definition of a dependent particle. So dependent particles are the grammatical particles, which is under the system of Tibetan grammatical, which comes under the Tibetan grammatical system. So these particular grammatical particles are those type of grammatical particles which associate with name with the capital N, meaning any form of name. And when it does so, it does on the basis of the suffix letter. So each of these names have either they have one of the 10 suffix letter. In some cases, they have the post suffix letter, and in some case, they don't have the suffix letter. So on the basis of these, we find that the particles are associated accordingly. And therefore, these type of grammatical particles which are associated with words on the basis of the suffix letter are known as the dependent particle. So this, so the last dependent particle that we talked about was the continuative particles. And we talked about the different usage cases, the subgroup of the usage cases. And so today we are introducing the differentiating and inclusive particles, which is one of the dependent particles. And since we know that this is a dependent particle, we understand that these particles follow the same type of rules that are applicable to all the dependent particles. So before we begin, let me just recite the verse of dedication, and after that, for the auspiciousness of the class, of course, and after that we'll begin the class. Today's class is not that long. It will be particularly less than so it will be particular. It seems that is everyone able to hear me? Is it audible? Is everyone able to hear me? Okay. So I thought the sound was not coming. Okay. So lasso. Okay. So let me begin with the tribute. So this is a line of worship, which is for the Manjushri. It says, I prostrate to you, O eternally. Manjushri is a symbolism of being eternally youthful, to be in the form of the most glorious, and to be the most glorious and the most majestic form. So therefore, we portray Manjushri as eternal youthful form. Okay, so this is the line of dedication. So now we have the verse of dedication. Kangi sherab chikde meseki reti zimbe yishi mebao jambe time gombo yangchota sange jambe yang la chatsel. So this is the verse of dedication. It says, the one whose wisdom dispels the darkness of the world, ignorance, the darkness or the darkness of ignorance of the world, holding the sword of wisdom, burning in the fire of wisdom, the Lord, the glorious Lord of the Vimala, who chants the most melodious sounds, I prostrate to you, O Buddha Manjushri. So this is the verse of dedication. So we're taking this verse as an auspicious verse, I begin our class today. May all of us, by the blessing of Manjushri, be able to benefit from this class. Okay, so Chedu, differentiating and inclusive particle. Lekshe Jongwa le Kangam Tanam Pamam Ham Ramlam Samtam Chedu Te Chorchul Lerdu Kaptang Tsung. So the mistake that I was talking about is here. As you see here, it is lerdu, whereas and this is the sixth grammatical particle, whereas in the file that I sent, I mistyped it. And instead of the instead of the sixth grammatical case, I was using the particle of the third grammatical case, which is sa at this point. So it becomes le du. So le du meaning. So this is the root text from the tree of excellent speech. So we see that in the root text, they're talking about so each root text that we discuss will be separated or will be classified in three groups. First one is introducing the particle. Second one is the association with names based on the suffix letter. And finally, the last one, and the most important, would be the usage case, how you use them in a statement. So from the tree of excellent speech, the differentiating and inclusive particles are kham, ngam, tham, nam, pham, mam, hum, ram, lam, sam, tam. The association with names are similar to that of the recompound particles. So the association, the rules of association with names is similar to that of the recompound particle. So this is the root text. Now, trying to understand the root, the lines of the root text. So the first one is kham, ngam, tham, nam, pham, mam, hum, ram, lam, sam, tam, che, du, te. Te ni, che, du, la, tsi, te, chu, chi, yue, pa, te ni, kham, ngam, tham, nam, pham, mam, hum, ram, lam, sam, tam, che, so. So the differentiating and inclusive particles are kham, ngam, tham, nam, pham, mam, hum, ram, lam, sam, tam. That is, there are 11 particles of differentiating, 11 particles of differentiating and inclusive case. These are kham, ngam, tham, nam, pham, mam, hum, ram, lam, sam, tam. So we understand that from the first two lines, we understand that the lines are introducing. So one should also understand that there are this line, the first two line introduces the particles of differentiating and inclusive case. So it states that there are in total 11 particles. There are in total 11 particles of differentiating and inclusive case. And these 11 particles are kham, ngam, tham, nam, pham, mam, hum, ram, lam, sam, tam. So we have 11 of these particles, and these are known as the particles of the differentiating and inclusive case. When it's used in the differentiating case, these will be known as differentiating particles. When used in the inclusive case, these will be known as inclusive particles. So we must note that unlike the case of the sixth and the third grammatical case, the subject case and the relation case, in which we find that the very particles used for the sixth grammatical case and the particles used for the third grammatical case are different, meaning that there are different not only in the usage, they are different when written. In the sixth grammatical case, we found that the particles ki, ki, yi, yi do not have. So for the sixth grammatical case, we found that the particles were these. And these do not have sa. Whereas for the third grammatical case, we found that the particles were like this. In which case, we find that the particles not only differ in the usage case, but the particles actually differ when we write them. So therefore, when we write these particles, we find that these particles are different also in writing. So So therefore, we understand that in this case of differentiating an inclusive particle, the particles differentiate only in usage. There is no differentiation of, or there is no distinction of the particles in writing. They're the same when you write it, but the meaning of the particle changes on the basis of the usage. So these are the 11 particles, 11 for the differentiating case, 11 for the inclusive case. So when they are used in the usage case of the differentiating case, they are known as differentiating particles. When they are used in the inclusive case, these are known as the inclusive particle. Okay, so let us go here and let me share this. So this is the file that was given to everyone. So this is the PDF. So you see the same thing here. So the PowerPoint and the PDF are the same. In fact, there is more information in the PDF in comparison to the PowerPoint. So it states that, so it's the same. So let me go with the explanation. So, Deva. 제도 세대 중지 유ete 강남 단남 범어 강남 성담 제소 세대 중지 대단히 랑기 주유 치기 진주라 되베 수기 죽답 체 샤완첸노스. So what does this mean? It means that the differentiating and inclusive case is associated with 11 particles. These 11 particles are kam ngam tam nam pam mam ham ram lam sam tam. And these 11 particles are different dependent particles. Why are they dependent particles? Because what does it mean when we say that these particles are dependent particles? That means that these 11 particles follow a name as an object of association on the basis of the suffix letter of the name. So it associates with the particular name on the basis of whether which of the 10 suffix letter is at the end of the name, or on the basis of whether which post suffix letter it has, or whether or not whether it does not have any suffix letter. So on the basis of these things, the 11 particles are associated with their respective name, and thus these are known as dependent particles. So this is the meaning. So the first one, which states that differentiating an inclusive case is associated with 11 particles, and these 11 particles is shown from these two lines, the first two lines. And the concept of it being, the explanation of it being the dependent particle comes as an inferential, it comes inferentially. It is not directly stated, but it comes inferentially from the third line. There is no direct statement that this particular particle is dependent particle, but it is inferentially understood because here at the third line. So now we come to the third line. Okay, so let us go to the third line. Okay, so the third line. Teni sikche chukchi te nam sikche chukchi te nam rangi chuyu mingdang che chuni te kontu le du kap silver tarhis. That means the association with names are similar to that of the recomp. So we have already covered the recompound particles. That particular particle was covered under the first grammatical case as a usage case. So these particles associate with the first grammatical case. And so we know the rules which by which the recompound particles are associated with their particular names. And so these 11 follow the similar rule that was introduced earlier during the recompound particles when it comes to association based on suffix letter. So therefore, the rules for the suffix letter for these 11 particles were already discussed during the recompound particle. So we're going to we're going to reintroduce the rule when we talk about the association based on suffix letter for the particular for this particular particle. That will be done in the next class when we will discuss only on the association. So so that we could understand how each of these particles are associated with each of the name. In this class, this lesson, we're only going to talk very briefly, more or less like an introduction, sort of. Okay, so the association with names are similar to that of the recompound particles, and that means that that these 11 particles follow the same rule that was introduced during this recompound particle, meaning that whatever rules were introduced during the recompound particle, because recompound particles is the first, these 11 particles are the first particle, or recompound particle is the first particle which is of the dependent particle. So the first of the dependent particle. So therefore, we understand that when it comes to association based on suffix letter, this is how they're associated. And so when you even look at the PDF, you'll find that in the PDF, the same explanation is made. That is, means that the association of these particles with their respective name is similar to the rules that were discussed during the recompound particles. There is no difference. These both are similar, same. So when it comes to association based on suffix letter, these both are same. Okay, so now we understand that the first two lines introduces the particles. The third line talks about the association based on the suffix letter of the name that it follows. So now we have understood two of these things, but now the question comes, where is the usage case? And therefore most of these root verses, the usage case, there are two types of usage case. One which are directly stated in the text, and one which are inferential usage case. Here we have the direct usage case, and we also have the inferential. But today we're only going to introduce the direct usage case. Also, very briefly, we're not going to talk in detail about the direct usage case. The detailed explanation will come in the later class when we discuss the usage cases. So we have we have two usage case which are stated here, which is che, do, che, which means differentiating, do, which means including or collecting. So che also means splitting, scattering, splitting, more correctly to split, to divide in a way. Do means to include, to collect. So therefore, there are two direct usage cases. The first one is the differentiating case, and the second one is inclusive case. So in the PDF, you can also see the usage case. Okay, so let us go there. So if you check the PDF, you'll see here. First, we have the particles of differentiating case, differentiating and inclusive case. So these are the 11 particles: kham, ngam, tham, nam, pam, ram, lam, sam, tam. So 11 of these are the particles of differentiating and inclusive case. Okay, so chedu, which means the direct usage case of differentiating an inclusive case. Direct, what do we mean by direct? We mean directly stated in the text, meaning the ones which are in the text. So that is what we mean by direct when we say direct usage case, meaning that these usage cases that you see here were stated in the actual text. So direct usage case and inclusive usage case. The inferential usage case. So inferential usage cases will be discussed. Most of them will be cited from the Armor of Speech. So by Smriti Kana. So there are two direct usage cases: the chepa, which means differentiating case, dupa, which means inclusive case. So if we recall the particles that we have studied previously, there was once the particle which was the ornamental and inclusive case. This is quite similar, but it works differently, in which in that case the inclusive meaning were inferential, whereas here everything will be directly stated in the statement. But we will discuss them in more detail in the during the discussion on this particular usage case of the differentiating and inclusive case. So here we must understand that there are two direct usage case, which are differentiating case and inclusive case. Okay, so now getting back to the okay, so now we have understood that there are two usage cases, and the line that tells us, and not the entire line, but this two, just by this two words, we must understand the direct usage case. So now we have already classified this entire tree line, which is from the root text of speech of the tree of excellent speech. We have classified them into three groups. The first one being the introduction to the particles. The second one being the association based on the suffix letter. And then finally, this two, which shows us the direct usage case. The inferential usage case will not be in the text, so therefore there cannot be any classification on these verses, which tells us the inferential usage case, but we will cite them. The citation or the reference will be taken from the Armor of Speech by Smriti Kana. Okay, so now we have understood that. We will discuss the association based on suffix letter in detail in the next class, because it's just a rule which tells us which particle goes with what type of word. Meaning, when we talk about what type of word, we're simply talking about name with a particular suffix letter, or without suffix letter, or with a particular prefix letter. Okay, so now for today's class, the final portion will be a very brief sort of discussion on the usage cases, the direct usage case. The first one is cheba, and the second one is duba. So cheba and duba. So what is cheba? So differentiating in inclusive particles. First one is the differentiating case. Very, very brief and very, very surface explanation of what it is. So cheba, what is the definition? Yeshi shik namchang tomar cheba la chebe che kamso pechebar chebe cheba sirs. So it is a what is a differentiation case? A usage case of the particles of differentiating case. So it's a usage case of particle of a differentiating case. So here it's a differentiating case. So it's known as the particles of differentiating case. So this is not differentiation, but differentiating case. So these are type of statement. We have said this again and again many times. In our particular class that we're having, we don't give a special sort of significance to the particle, because particle themselves do not have a meaning by itself, because these comes under the third type of subgroup of word, which are known as the particles, connecting particles, and under the group that is known as the word. And words are not words, and those words, and not only words, under the words, they come under the words which cannot show meaning by themselves. They can only manifest a meaning. They can only express themselves as a meaning when they associate with other words. Therefore, in our class, we don't give any special significance to the connected particle. This doesn't happen. In some of the cases, we will see that in some of the cases we will see that there is a great emphasis on the particle, but no, in our class that we're having, we emphasize greatly on the usage case, meaning the statement. So the statement influences the particle, not the other way around. Sometimes some particles, like the weak compound particles, in case of the first grammatical case, definitely in those cases, the particles have a certain way of manifesting, not as a directly translated in written, but influencing the nature of the statement. But still, even in those cases, we must understand that it's because of the particular type of statement, not because of the particle. Because if it was because of the particle, then it should be true to all the usage case of the particle, where it manifests as an influence or towards the nature of sentence. But it only happens during the usage of the first grammatical case. Therefore, we will strongly stick to the understanding that it is the statement that influences the particle and not the other way around. So in this case, the very nature of the statement is differentiating nature. It differentiates names. And the particles are used in order to differentiate, to classify. So a usage case of the particles of differentiating case. So it is a usage case where you apply these particles, which is a statement in which the particles such as come, so 11 particles such as come, is used in order to differentiate a class in numerous classification. Is called statement of differentiating case usage. So a main group or a main class, for example, let's say fruit. Fruit is the collective noun, and then it is differentiated in many sub collective or subordinating noun. For example, apple is a subordinating noun of the collective noun fruit. So the fruit is now differentiated in many different types of fruit. So therefore, that type of classification in which you differentiate or you split a major class into many minor classes is known as differentiating case. And so to differentiate those, so to be able to function as a sort of differentiating particle, we use these particles, and that type of usage case is known as differentiating case. So let's see an example. Bedna kado nite sawe kado kam yenla kado ko, which means two types of colors are primary and secondary color. So there are two types of colors, and the two types of colors are primary and secondary colors. So we see that here the usage of the particle, as we see here, this is the particle that we have used. What it does is that it differentiates the main class, which is the color, into two minor classes, which is the primary and secondary color. Similarly, kunjo sumte sange sam, shu sam, kendu no, which means the three gems are Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So the main class, which is the three gem, is classified into subclasses, which are Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And it is done with the usage of the particle. Here we see the particle is sam. So these particular particles are used here in order to differentiate or to split or to classify a main class into different subclasses. Okay, so now the second direct usage case, duba. Namdang tuma yeshi jita duba la, dube te kamso pejuba, dube juba sirs. So inclusive case. A usage case of particles of inclusive case, which is a statement, so it's a type of statement. So also notice, we are strongly inclining ourselves towards the usage of the word statement in English instead of the word sentence, which we already have discussed in previous classes, because statement is the English translation for the word juba, which is the original term that is used in the 30. Whereas the word siktu, which is sentence, came afterwards. It's something that came afterward. Almost at the pinnacle of the modernization of Tibetan language. That's when these usage of these things came, and most of them were direct result of exposure towards the some of the English tradition. One of which also greatly influenced the poetry of Tibet, introducing the more contemporary way of writing poem. So in those times, also the usage of the word sentence also became more popular. But we stick to the original term, which is juba or term, or juba or statement. Okay, so in this particular usage case, a statement is used in which the particle, the inclusive particle, such as come, is used in order to include numerous subclasses or subclassification into a single major class. So this is opposite to what we did in the differentiating case, where we took a major class, divided into numerous subclasses. Here, what we do is we take numerous subclasses, and then in the statement, we combine them together into a major class. So this type of usage case is known as inclusive case or inclusive usage case. For example, penna, sasam, chuham, meam, nuni, kamshio. Earth, water, fire, and wind are the four elements. Sherapam, sutim sam, tingenzi, labani, labasumo. the practice of meditation, absorption, discipline, and wisdom are the three fundamental practices. So we see that in these type of statement, in contrast to the one which we discussed earlier, we start by stating the different subclasses, different smaller classes, and at the end, and we use this particular particle to differentiate these subclasses. So the function of the subclasses are quite the same. They are to differentiate, but the reason why it is called the inclusive case is because at the end, the statement includes everything into one. So here, there is another reason why we see that it's more, the significance is more towards the statement and the nature of statement rather than the particle, because if it was the particle, then the statement would be called differentiating because it separates and differentiates all the subclasses. But since it does not do that, since it's not called that, or since it is called the inclusive case, we see that the significance lies greatly towards the nature of the statement. And what is the nature of the statement? The nature of the statement is inclusive rather than differentiating. And so it's called inclusive. And therefore, because the nature of the statement is inclusive, the particles used here are known as inclusive particle because they function they function in order to finally include everything into a single group. So therefore, this is the inclusive particle. So we see that there are two types of direct usage case. Okay, so now let me try to summarize everything. So the differentiating and inclusive case are associated with 11 particles. These 11 particles are kam, ngam, tham, nam, hum, mum, ram, lam, sam, and tam. So so all of us must understand that all of these particles, the particles of differentiating and inclusive case, are simply all the 10 suffix letter with the addition of ma at the end. So ka with ma kam, nga with ma ngam, ka with ma tham, so on and so forth. And tam is the inferential particle. So tam is not directly stated in the main text of 30, which is inferential, but here it is directly stated. Okay, so the first part, introducing the particle, there are 10 particles of differentiating and inclusive case. Kam, ngam, tham, nam, pam, mam, hum, ram, nam, sam, tam. Okay, and the association of these 11 particles with their respective name is similar to that of the recompound particle that we already discussed during the recompound particle, which we will discuss again while discussing the association of these particles on the basis of suffix letter. And then these are dependent particles because the association of these particles with their respective name are dependent on some particular rules, and these rules are based on the suffix letter of the respective name, which is similar to that of the recompound particle. And so since it has to follow these rules, these are called dependent particle. Dependent on what? What is dependent? Association. Association of what? Association of the particles. Association of particles with what? Association of particles with the names. Association of the particles with the names is dependent on what? Dependent on certain rules. And what are these rules based on? Based on the suffix letter. How does it depend on the suffix letter. It depends on whether which of the 10 suffix letter each name possess, whether if it possesses the a particular type of post-suffix letter, or whether it does not possess any suffix letter. So that is association rule. In Tibetan, we call it dajor. We have already discussed it many times. It's called dajor. Da, which is the suffix letter in this particular context. Jor means association, union, combining, joining. And then the third classification is the usage case. By this two word, we understand that there are two usage cases. First usage case, two direct usage case. There are inferential cases, which we'll talk about. There are two usage cases, direct usage cases. First one is differentiating usage case. Second one is inclusive usage case. What do we mean by the differentiating usage case? Differentiating usage case are the type of statement in which you use the particle of differentiating particle in order to differentiate or to split a major class into small subclasses. And what is the inclusive case? Inclusive case is when you bring many subclasses and then you combine them all together into one major class by the usage of the inclusive particle. We call them inclusive and differentiating particle, but they don't differ in the spelling or writing. They only differ in their usage in particular statement. When it is used with a statement in which the nature of the statement is to differentiate, then it's called differentiating particle. If it's used in a statement in which the nature of the statement is to include or being inclusive, it's called inclusive particle. So the leverage or the significance is strongly inclined towards the and strongly inclined towards the statement, the nature statement, rather than the particle. The particle, like we already discussed, they change meaning. Don't fix a meaning. If you fix a meaning with the particle, you're going to suffer later, because you'll be confused. You'll be thinking, oh, I thought that this was directly translated to to, but now in this sentence it is translated to of. What is happening? Because particles do not have a meaning by themselves. They cannot manifest the meaning by themselves. They are dependent. These are companion. These are connective particle, which comes under the bound morphemes. These are construction. These are structure of letters, which cannot manifest a meaning by themselves. They need to be associated with other words in order to manifest a meaning. And in this particular case, it needs to associate with a particular statement. It associates with the name, but the name is a part of the statement. And because of the nature of the statement, the very meaning of the particle changes accordingly. Okay, so this is the introduction to the differentiating and inclusive particle. So now I will take questions. So does anyone have questions? Please ask away. Any questions? And if some of the things that I described, if I went through very quickly, then you can ask me to repeat them. So any questions?
Genla,
So,
thank you for a beautiful lesson. I have a question about third line that you cited from the main text. Jurtsulardu kabdan tung.
yes.
The question is about last word. I think this word gives us an idea of identity, of something that exists isolatedly as a differentiating thing. But we have another lexical tool as a chikpa. So to give understand this tung, would you like to give some example of situation when we can say these two things chikpa, but we cannot use tsung, or another controversial situation when we can use tsung or cannot use chikpa. Thank you.
Okay, so your question is so tsung is has the meaning of being similar. So you mean when should be like you mean that is it like a case where both of them can be used in any time, like tsung or chikpa, interchangeable, or if they're not interchangeable terms, when what are the you need to use tsung and what are the cases you need to use chikpa, right? Is that the question? Did I
Right.
understand the question correctly? So
Yes.
let me elaborate. So like we already said, these things like chikpa, these are all mostly spoken terms, the terms used in the spoken language, like chikpa. Tsung is a more inclined towards the written language aspect of the language. So both of them have same usage. It means similar, same, one. Chikpa means same or one. Both of these are one. One meaning not as being one, but of the being identical. Uh, so there are usage in which we can use chikpa, but we are not using tsung. For example, here we don't say this is wrong. We don't say konyi payu chik. We say that konyi payu chikpa re, but we don't say konyi payu tsung ba re. So we see that in this particular usage, we are saying that both of them are from the same village, or they belong to the same country or village. Tsung has to do more with comparison as an identity, rather than similarity in the as being similarity, having similarity as an identity. It has to do more with either the nature, or it has to do more with the comparison, how you compare things. Like when you compare things, then you can use the word tsung. When we say that's the same, you can do it like that. That is also the same. It doesn't matter, it's the same. So we use tsung at that case. One usage of tsung, which will also come in. So if those of you who have joined the reading class, we have Sakya Lekshe. So Sakya Lekshe, there is this one very wonderful line, verse. It says, "Rigpa nangpar chiya lap, tse rigpa mutu kya, kawa chima chawahi, nola rangi lenda tsung." So we have actually three words now. We have actually three words which are quite similar. These are da. So da is similar to tsung. These are interchangeable. But now the usage of chikpa is a little bit different. It seems that chikpa is somewhat more pervasive in context, meaning that it can be used in more cases than tsung and da. That there are cases where you can use chikpa, but there are cases where you cannot use tsung in place of chikpa. So that could be the case. Like in this case, we are using chikpa. We say konyi payu chikpa des. But we cannot say konyi payu tsung ba des. This is wrong. This is correct, and that one is wrong. So when we use the word chung or da, we always have to look at the nature of similarity. Rather than as an identity. But then there are cases when we can write it in which we are it may seem that we are talking about the nature, but here we are more talking about the comparison. We are strongly talking about the comparison of one's nationality. And then the other thing that you can see that chung can also be used in this case. So most of the case where you are using chikpa, chung can be used. But there are some cases where it cannot be used when it merely talks about the identity rather than comparison. When it's always about comparison, then we use chung. And chung and da are interchangeable. So I hope I made it clear. And if more examples are required, I'll make sure that I provide them in the group. I'll actually try to provide examples of where you can use jigba, but you cannot use chungba, so that it becomes more clear. But for now, I hope this example makes it a little clear that jigba is more pervasive. It is more. It is something that is more used in more cases in comparison to chungba. So I hope this is clear. Now, any other questions? Does anyone else have questions regarding today's lesson? Any more questions regarding today's lesson? Yes, so usage as an interrogative particle is an inferential. So we'll talk about this in the inferential usage case. So using it as an interrogative particle where we ask questions, that is inferential usage case, not direct usage case of these particles. That's all. Any more questions? Does anyone have more questions? And I will be sending the new portion for recitation in the group by most probably by Monday. I will send it in the group. So, any more questions? Does anyone have any questions regarding today's lesson? Any more questions?
May I ask a stupid question?
Please ask questions.
Question about nam particle. Today we meet this particle as a lardu, but sometimes we meet this particle as a mark of time. How it possible that one particle used for so different ways? Thank you.
Can you please repeat? It just broke in between.
Okay, I am asking about nam particle. Nam. Today we know this particle as a one of lardu.
One of Chedu.
Yes, Chedu. Sorry, but sometimes we meet. We know this particle as a mark of time when or like this part of a mark of time related particle. How it possible that one particle used in so different ways?
So so you're saying that this particle that is nam and nam, right?
Right.
It's also used for time
For
particle,
time. For time marking.
time marking. In what sense? Can you please give me an example?
Okay, I will send this example in group. I cannot provide right now.
Okay, so
Let's talk in group.
let's send it in the group, and I will answer this. So this is
Okay.
very interesting if it's been used in the time, because until now we have only introduced just one type of particle which are used with time. There is a case like this, please send it in the group, and then I will answer to your question in the group. So thank you very much for the question. Most wonderful. So any more questions? Do we have any more questions? Definitely. I will. There was once this website which was introduced in, I think it was in the WhatsApp group. Probably, I'll just search for that particular website link. It is a link in which you can find those books. I'll send the link in the group, and then you can check it there. That's so. Okay, so very wonderful. Thank you very much for the questions. As every one of you know that I thoroughly enjoy questions. So I will try to answer the questions in the group in a more detailed manner. And if you have more questions on the answers I sent on the group, I will answer those also with great joy and happiness. So please make sure that if there are any questions, send it in the group if you're unable to send it here. Okay, so for the uh, for the first week, we will not have any recitation of the text. From the next week, we will begin reciting the text at the end of each class. So please prepare for that. Most of you have read it wonderfully, and I thank every one of you for taking the time to study these texts. I will send the new portion with the recording. I will be sending few audio recordings in the grammar class related to the text, the Tree of Excellent Speech. Listen to them. And some of you have sent me recordings of the text. Thank you very much for those. I will listen to it. Those who have not received my feedback, I will be sending them. I was very busy for this week and past week, so I wasn't able to answer. I will make time and I will answer to you as soon as possible. So very sorry for the delay, and I will make sure that I send you the feedback so that you can listen to it and improve. And yeah, uh, please send the recordings to me. I will listen to them, send you feedback, listen to the feedback, record again, send to me. I will listen to them, feedback, and then you can improve. And so the lesson that will go parallel to this lesson is something that will be probably be there till the end of all the lessons that will courses that will be provided by Heruka Institute uh, of Tibetan studies. So all by the end of the course on grammar, all the rest of the course will be finished, because grammar will take the most of time. Most probably, currently I'm projecting the entire grammar course to be done by almost in the span of 6 years. So let's see if we could do it in 6. So let's see. For me particularly, when I was studying, it took me 13 years, but I'm trying to make it as concise as possible to put it in 6 years. Okay, so please revise, recite, and practice the text. And when you read the text, look at the lessons that we have already gone, so that when you recite the text, you already understand which line means what. Meaning that at the end of the course, when you recite the Tree of Excellent Speech, you will have the entire lesson memorized, So thank you very much. And then from on, I think it's on the, that is Saturday. I think it's on the oh, it's on the 5th, that is Sunday. We will have the first reading class. Those who are joining me there, uh, please join me. It's the text is very wonderful. It's called the Excellent Speech of Sakya Pandita, one of the classical literature. Very wonderful, and I will be we will be practicing reading. After which, I will explain what the particular text, what the particular verse means, and then we'll have new words. We'll make example sentence. So, and then the way we are going to do it, do the classes are the same that we did last time. First, I will repeat, and then I will choose someone, and then they will repeat after me 4 times. Okay, so this is it for today's lesson. Thank you very much for joining in, and a small verse of dedication. So by the power of the merits that is accumulated here, may all of us be able to continue this lesson, and that with the great enthusiasm uh, and the commitment that everyone has shown coming here, may we be able to continue the course, and may everyone benefit from the course. And so I thank every one of you for joining in. Please revise, send questions, recite, and I will see every one of you. Those who are joining me for the reading class, I'll see you on Sunday. Those who are joining me for this class, grammar class, I'll see you on Monday. Yes, I'll see you on Monday. So have a wonderful day, noon, or evening, wherever you are. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you very much, and Tashi Dele to everyone.